Hi, thanks so much for joining me today for the Gold Standard. I'm Jennifer Goldman, your nonprofit management consultant. I'm hoping to help nonprofit organizations learn how to run more like well-funded businesses. And today I wanted to address board members. I know normally in my videos I'm addressing probably more executive directors. Sometimes I'm addressing everybody en masse, but today I want to talk specifically to the board members, whether you've been on a board for a few years, a few months, or maybe you're a prospective board member that's been approached about joining an organization. I wanted to ask you, invite you to make some considerations about the things that you have in the nonprofit. I've noticed in my work with nonprofit organizations, I have met with several board members who feel as if they haven't really grasped the organization that they're serving. They're not sure what's being done, why it's being done this way, if it's successful, and more importantly, what they're supposed to be doing. Many are waiting to be asked if they can do something specific, a specific task. More than just showing up to board meetings. And on the other hand, I've worked with a lot of executive directors and staff members who feel like the level of board engagement isn't really up to where they want it to be. And they're wishing board members would step up. So I'm hoping to bring those two together and inviting board members to make some considerations, possibly make some first steps. Since I'm going to assume you have a little more time for this organization, to be thinking strategically than the staff members who are, sort of in the trenches doing all the day-to-day operations. So I want to ask you to ask yourself a few questions when you are either thinking about joining a board or maybe to be thinking about the board you're already serving. So number one, what is it about this organization that drew you in? Was it their mission? Was it the community, the involvement that you would have? Was it specific people you wanted to be around? What was it that drew you in originally? And start thinking about those things and why you were excited to do this work. Sort of re-energize yourself about what is it about this organization that you love. And then ask yourself, what are my unique skills, expertise, talents that would help me serve this nonprofit? Sometimes it's super obvious. They've asked a CPA to be on the board because they need someone to be taking care of bookkeeping, accounting, tax records. Sometimes there are other things, even if you are the CPA and it's so obvious why you're there, you're the attorney, there may be other things that you're really interested and excited in that you're skilled at that maybe the executive director or the staff or other board members just don't know about. So be making a list of those things. What other contributions could you be making? And what do you want to accomplish during your time on this board? Think to yourself, how can I leave this organization better than I found it? What are the things you want to do? I encourage you to have goals for your time on this board of directors. Don't just go there and do what you're being asked to do. Have a goal for yourself. If I do nothing else in the 3 years or whatever time you have, I want to do this for the organization. So ask yourself what those things are. What are those goals? Maybe there's just one, and that's fine. If you can get to 3 goals that you want to do, even better. But be thinking about that. What do you want to do with your time there when you leave? Don't you want to be proud of what you did, what you accomplished, what that organization now has because of your contribution? So think of it in terms of that. Also, this is a big one. Are you willing to invest in this organization financially? That is a big one. It's something that I encourage organizations to do, is to create board give get policies whereby each board member has to give something personally, but there's a certain threshold of fundraising that must be done, whether that is, $100 of your money and $1,000 elsewhere, whatever collectively meets that give get policy. And I know that level of giving is different for every organization based on its mission, its budget, its community. Maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $50,000, whatever that is. Usually there's some portion that you just must give financially yourself, and the others you must fundraise. But think of it that way. not just whether there's a board give get policy or not, but am I willing to contribute to this organization financially? Whether I was on the board or not, do I believe in it so much that I would be willing to literally put my money where my mouth is? And think of it this way, and I don't want to discourage anybody, but if you're not, you might want to reconsider some things. We look to our board members to be the first to give, the first to be enthusiastic and encouraging about what we're doing, and also to be able to tell the rest of the community and other people that we want to donate that we have 100% buy-in from our board. So it's really important that every board member believe in the organization so strongly that they would contribute financially themselves. Next, ask yourself, what would make me really proud of this nonprofit and the work we're doing? By the time, well, hopefully not by the time you leave, hopefully for all of it, all of your time serving on that board, what would make you really proud of this organization? What do you want to see them do? Not just the goals that you have for yourself and your contribution to the board, but what do you want to see this organization do? What's going to make you, puff up when you walk in the community and say, I serve on the board of this organization and they are so amazing. What's going to make you do that? And start thinking about the things that it would take to do those things. Maybe there's some performance measures that need to be put in place. I don't know what it is, but on some level, if you don't already have that great sense of pride, or maybe even if you do, what would make it even better, start thinking strategically about maybe some improvements that the organization needs to make. When I look at the mission of this organization, how would I measure success? How would you know that this organization is doing what it should based on the mission statement that it has? What would success look like? And maybe you have a different idea or opinion about what that looks like than other board members or the staff. And that would be a really interesting thing for the rest of the group to take a look at. Because as we know, one of the things we count on for board members is that each one of them is going to think differently. So bring your thoughts and ideas to the table. What does success look like for you in terms of this particular organization and its mission? In addition to attending board meetings, how much time am I willing to spend on this organization? And how can I make the best use of my time? Especially for those of you who are on working boards, that means that showing up for a board meeting once a month for an hour isn't going to be enough. You're expected to be part of the daily operations. So be thinking to yourself, how else can I be spending my time working for this organization? What do they need and what do they need from me? And next, ask yourself, who else do I know that would be willing to help me accomplish these things? Whether it's raising money, raising awareness, accomplishing goals of the organization, accomplishing your own goals for your time on the board, serving the mission. This will help you start to realize maybe some partnerships that the organization needs, maybe some introductions that you can make to the staff. Perhaps these are people who would be new volunteers, committee members, maybe even prospective donors. So start thinking about your own network. Who do you know and how could they help move this forward, whatever this is to you? And ask yourself also, what one thing about this organization do I find the most challenging, perplexing, frustrating, and what can I do to improve it? I can tell you as a former executive director, there are a lot of things that we do as staff members that we just keep doing because we don't have a lot of time. And we're not really thinking about it anymore, especially once it becomes so rote. It's just an automatic, this is how I do this, this is how I do this, and I only have so much time, so I'm just going to keep doing it this way and this way and this way. But as a board member, sit back and think strategically about some of the things you have questions about. And maybe, especially if you're a new board member, none of the other board members might be questioning it either, because maybe they're just so used to the way things are being done. And instead of sitting back, as I know a lot of new board members do, is like, I'm just going to sit back and hold my tongue, and maybe it'll make more sense to me the longer I'm here, or I'm going to, figure things out along the way. Stop and offer your opinions and advice. You've been asked to be on this board because you're someone of influence, because you've something to give to this organization. So allow that to be the voice of curiosity. Ask people, why do we do this thing? Why do we do it this way? What is this for? I don't understand why we do it like this. Is this really, the best way to do this? Is there another way we could do this? Because as that new person, you have the outside perspective that some of them may have lost along the way. And it's not so much to just be difficult or challenging, but let's start thinking about our operations and are they working? And if you have a question, most likely a lot of people had that same question on the way in the door and maybe just didn't say anything. So be on the lookout for those things that seem to be challenges that aren't being overcome, things that are maybe taking too long every single time. What are the frustrations and challenges of the organization? What are they maybe doing that they're not thinking about anymore? They're just doing because they've always done it that way. And maybe if you bring it to the forefront in a gentle way, you can strategize some ways to improve whatever that process is. And then lastly, ask yourself, what does the executive director think of all of these things? When can I sit down with him or her and talk about all of these things and possibly collaborate on how to make them happen? One of the things that I haven't seen a lot of in my experience with organizations is executive directors and board members sitting down and having one-on-ones. We always talk about networking, going out into the community and talking to this person and that person, looking for money, looking for volunteers, just looking for new connections. But internally within our own organizations, how many of us take the time to go one-on-one with each other? So if you are the board member, don't wait for the executive director to have time or to think about it. Reach out to him or her and say, listen, I'd really like to sit down with you. Maybe it's just 30 minutes. If that's all you can spare, I have some ideas and thoughts, and I want to ask you how I can be the most effective and the most helpful in my time here. And I'd like to tell you about some of my goals for what I would like to do or see done while I'm serving this board. So hopefully, as board members or prospective board members, these are some questions that you can ask yourself as you start pondering your time sitting on this board. And as I like to say, please don't be the board member who sits on a board. Be the board member who serves the board, who serves the organization. Seek to do more than just the 1-hour board meetings where you just make decisions and then go home. Look to really be involved. And maybe it means as, another organization you need to consider. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something that really draws you in and makes you really encouraged and proud to be part of that community, to be going out in the community and being an ambassador for this organization, the organization that really drives you and makes you want to spend more time helping and serving. And if I can help you reach those levels, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear your feedback on this video or any of the other ones that you have. Please subscribe. There are way more videos, but if there's a topic that you don't see, either listed in the top brass, the gold standard, or 2 Minutes with Joe, those are the main playlists here. If there's something I haven't covered and you'd like to hear more about it, please add something to the comments. I'm always looking for new topics that I can talk about. Thanks so much, and I wish you good luck.